Hey, what's up everybody? Mike here. I know it has been a long time since I posted on the channel and I wanted to start making regular content again. You might be wondering where the hell I am, and that's what this will all be about. So as you can see, I'm wearing a shirt that says the Geek Peek. Over the last 9 months, my girlfriend Jill and I have been working to create a business in the old Brooklyn area of Cleveland, and we successfully opened this past week. We just ended our first full week of business. It went incredibly well, and I want to kind of document that, reflect on that, but also share the steps that went into opening the space and the things that went into the decision making to open the space, as opening a retail space in the current economic climate is very risky, and a lot of people have strayed away from retail space in recent years. With that being said, this is where the next portion of our journey begins. What you're looking at is a 120-year-old building that's been abandoned for many years, and it's in need of major restoration. Over the course of the next 3 months, a huge renovation team would work to completely revamp the building so that we can move in the space that we're going to lease. This is the actual space we signed the lease on. This is what it looked like. It was dirty, dingy, old, and beat up. And I think most people would see this space and likely pass it up because there are so many issues that need to be addressed and so many things that must be cleaned, fixed, tidied, updated. But the reality is I saw something really interesting in the space and I thought we could make something unique, which is what I'm interested in, making business that is unique and different than other business in the area or, all over the world. After 3 months, the space started to look a lot better. That's what you see here is the white box space. We decided to keep the original wooden floors. They're over 100 years old, and they really are a great statement piece. The renovation team that fixed up the space hired someone they knew that was really good at revamping floors, and they sanded them down, refinished them. It took weeks and weeks of work, and they came out amazing. Along with that, we kept the original pressed tin ceiling. There were some issues with this. The original ceiling was white. A lot of water damage had occurred over the years from being abandoned. There's a lot of rust spots and things that aren't easy to cover up with light colors. Because of that, we decided to paint the entire ceiling matte black. It actually gives the ceiling a really cool finish. And on top of that, when you look up, you're able to see all the little details and intricacies that you aren't able to see with glossy paint. Now, as we go through the walkthrough in this video, you will see this is the exact space that original dingy photo comes from. Here's a cut between the two so you can compare. But this was just a few months of work, and what a difference. And wait till you see what the actual business looks like in just another few months. After receiving the white box space in May of 2023, Jill and I still had a lot of major projects we needed to finish. The first thing on our list was a large L-shaped counter that you see as soon as you walk into the space. It's a large statement piece, and we wanted the countertop to be original bowling alleys. Now, it may seem simple to find bowling alley lanes. However, I wanted ones that had inlaid arrows so that you can tell it was bowling alley lane. A lot of the lanes that are sold are just middle sections, or the arrows were like taped on or had some sort of sticker or paint. The ones we found have an inlay, but it did take me several months to find. The entire project ended up being a massive undertaking, much more work than either of us had anticipated, and I certainly would have done things differently if I went back in time. First and foremost, we did not send enough manpower to pick them up. Luckily, the guy who had the bowling alley lanes was able to load them in a truck with his some type of lift. However, when they got to the shop, we had to call a bunch of people in quickly because it turns out the slabs were over 400 pounds each. It took 4 guys and rollers to even get these in the building, and they were still struggling. I'm not even sure how the renovation team ended up getting them onto the counter later, and they also had to cut them, so I'm not sure how that went. But luckily, I didn't have to deal with that portion. Now, you might be wondering why not just use butcher block or some other wood or something more simple. And the answer is because our store has a lot to do with vintage items, repurposing, using things for, a different meaning than they have or a different purpose than they originally had. But it also has to do with gaming, and at the end of the day, bowling is a game. Some people call it a sport, but it is something that's been played for a very long time. Even in bars, you have those mini bowling games, and because of that, we wanted it to seem as authentic as possible. Once the bowling alleys were in place and cut and set, we then had to scrape them, which took several hours, and I will give that to Jill. She did most of that. And then on top of that, we had to cure them and then hard coat the top again. This took many hours. All these videos you're seeing are fast forwarded clips of just, small snippets in time when I'm sanding, when we're cleaning them, when we're putting the cure on. Then they have to sit for several days. I mean, this probably took upwards of a month to finish from the very beginning to the very end. While my main focus was the counter, Jill was working on other side projects, although she did help me throughout. And one of those side projects was focusing on this main merchandising wall. When you walk in the store, to the left is this large L-shaped counter, which is why it's very important that it looks nice, it speaks to our business, and it says something about the space. But on the right is a very, very long white plain wall, at least, when the space is empty. Now that right wall is the main merchandising wall, and Jill worked on this wall some. So she painted over our slat wall installation so that it matched the wall and was a nice light color, because the ones we got were like this dark gray color, and honestly it just didn't look very nice, and it didn't go with any of the other colors in our space. She also helped me with measuring and cutting a significant amount of lumber to become the shelving and to hang a number of things. She would hand me stuff while I was on the ladder, while I might have done like the mechanical part. Jill for sure is a hustler. I mean, she will get you what you need, and she's able to consistently get tasks done that are listed out for her. And because of that, we were able to get this all done. My brain's a little more scattered than hers, I think, and she definitely helps me focus and finish the tasks we need to get done. On top of that, without her help, just in general, because I have some physical issues, we would have never completed this space. For the second part of the merchandising wall, hanging the shelving and starting to populate the area, I don't have video footage. For that, I apologize. There was a ton of sawdust, dirt, and just grime all over from renovating and not keeping up with cleaning. We were in a very tight time crunch to open our store. We got the keys in May. We wanted to open in July, so it's a no-joke kind of time crunch, and this involved moving all of our inventory from a different place, setting it out nicely, getting everything ready for opening day, and because of that, the lack of footage occurred. But here's a look at what those two spaces look like now, and you can see how the countertop is finished, how you can tell it's a bowling alley. It's very, very heavy duty. It will last forever. And then there's this very long merchandising wall that you can stand back and look at, because one of our main goals in this space was to create something opening and inviting. I've been to so many collectible stores that just sell the stereotypical inventory, but it's stacked to the ceiling and it feels like it's going to fall on you, and the shelving's super narrow and you have to squeeze by everything, and there's things that have been there for 100 years, and I do not want that in my store. What I want is something you can stand back and appreciate. You can look. You don't have to feel overwhelmed by things. You don't feel like you're going to get squished or something's going to fall on you, or you have to bump into every person to get by. The idea is to be open and inviting, and the only way to accomplish that was to make most of the merchandising on one wall in a large gap between that wall and everything else. After we had our general philosophy for the shop and how we wanted to fill it, we had to find things to fill the space that would allow us to merchandise to begin with. Originally, we went to RBX, which is the Rebuilders Exchange. It's another local business, a small business, but a large business in the sense that there are many, many things there. At the Rebuilders Exchange, they take salvaged items, old construction items, teardowns, any type of architectural items that were saved from some point, and they put them up for sale, or they may clean them up and refurbish them in some sense and then reuse them. We were able to get a phone booth from them, some old lockers where they removed the doors so we could use them as bookcases, and then we also had a cart so we can push some things around and easily move things in the shop. We then built our own shelves from scrap wood. We made them look like Tetris blocks, and we colored the fronts of them. And then we built a shipping station with extra lumber that we had from the original merchandise shelving on the wall. And that shipping station is the main area where I pack anything for online sales, and then also sometimes wrap fragile items, because I have everything over there from boxes to paper, stretch film, tape, any of that type of stuff. Once we got this finished, the last thing we had to get for the shop that was very important was some book shelving for the back corner, some large tables. For that, we went to IKEA, and we had them ship and order here from Columbus. And then we found some old jeweler's cases that we were able to refurbish, and we used these to display expensive trading cards, expensive collectibles, and things we don't want out so people can touch or move them, steal them, damage them, whatever it may be. These are the things that are off limits. Now, the jeweler's cases actually came from an abandoned warehouse somewhere. We happened to find them when we were getting our refrigeration unit. It was like pure luck. And we were able to use old crates and some reclaimed lumber on the front and then paint it matte black so it looks really nice. All the glass was intact. The doors on the back are kind of janky and beat up, but it's not seen by most people, so it isn't a big deal. And they've worked great for us so far. Hey everyone, Mike here, and you are watching me 2.5 months after the first clip that was in this video. For that, I apologize. The shop has been all-consuming, and it has been quite the adventure. So there are a ton of things going on over the last 2 months, and the shop has changed a tremendous amount of times. Like I said before, it's ever evolving and changing, and the community has been growing. The shop has been very busy, and Jill and I have been trying to make the changes that people request and that they need to support their different hobbies. On top of that, there's just a lot to manage on the back end, and I guess it was somewhat of an underestimation on my part, and the video has just kind of taken a back burner. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed it. It was to try and give you a behind-the-scenes view of what opening was like. There's a lot of things that weren't recorded simply because Jill and I were so busy and the timeline was so tight. On top of that, there's a lot of video clips and things that need edited way down to be watchable, and I just haven't had a chance to do that. I hope what was shown in the video kind of explains some of the things we went through and looked for when we were opening. And if you ever come into the shop, you'll be able to see many of the things I talked about, from the salvaged items to the shelving on the wall to the general space design. And I hope you enjoy it. So we are finishing up what I think is our 9th or 10th week open, and it has been very good. It's been very busy. The word of mouth has spread around the community. We've been getting new people in every single day. We just hosted our very first Magic the Gathering event, and it was a huge success. So for that, I want to thank everyone who supported us. It means so much, and we hope to just continue to grow and push what a community collectible space can be. There are many collectible shops around the city, but there are not many that have cultivated a community space that can be used for a wide variety of hobbies and enjoyments, including board games, card games, D&D, book reading and collecting, book clubs, general local events, birthdays, all those types of things. And because of that, I think we kind of fill a niche that's a little different, and we are starting to grow more into that space where people come, feel safe, hang out, and do the things they enjoy without obligation to pay or without pressure from other sources. Currently, we have D&D groups that play every few weeks. We have Magic the Gathering folks that play quite often. We have people that come in and play board games and fun family games like Connect 4. We have a number of regulars that just hang out and visit every single week, and we appreciate all of you so very much. So thanks so much for making the Geek Peek what it is and supporting Jill and I, because it means the world to us, and we put so much work into this project. So we just want it to succeed, and right now we feel like we're in a good spot. So thank you for that.